So on Blackboard, let's start. Oh, yeah, I'm recording. Under, I don't know why it says chapter 10, it should be week. It's chapter 9, week 10. So the homework for the project was due yesterday. The project is due March 28th, so 2 weeks from now. And then the responses to other classmates is due by April 4th. But the project itself, which is on a discussion board, and it should be a slideshow, is due March 28th. And both of them are under project right here. The videos for chapter 9 are up. They're a little bit dark. This was like the first one I made when COVID started, and but if you have any questions, let me know, and we'll cover most of it anyways today. And the homework is here, and then there'll be a discussion board up. And on Friday, we'll have a group assignment. Any questions on that? Chapter 9 is about linear equations and exponential growth. It's linear when it's changing by the same amount each time. And to invest $1,000 and earn so one type of linear, you invest $1,000 and you earn $100 per year. So each year you're earning the same amount. An example we could do. We will also learn how to do this on Excel today. But if we start and we do this example, we open an account and we put $1,000 in it. And then each year it adds $100. We'll go 4 years. So if we put $1,000 into an account and each year it adds $100. And we've learned this one already. They're just showing you it with a account and comparing it with the percent that we're going to add. when it's linear, it's y equals mx plus b. B is the starting amount, so it's the $1,000. And M is the rate at which it's changing, and it's changing by $100 each year. Any questions on that? The new one that this is going to add is exponential growth. So this was linear. But when it's exponential, it increases or decreases by a percent. So then each time it's a percent of what's left or what's in there. And so it's different every time. So the balance would be the initial amount times 1 plus trick. If it's an increase, or if it's a decrease, use the 1 minus trick. So if we put $1,000 into an account, earning 8% each year. We want to write the equation. And you just use this. So I'm going to put B for balance. Initial amount, starting amount, we're starting with $1,000. We're using it. It's an increase of 8%, so we're going to add. Remember, you have to put your 8% as a decimal. What would 8% as a decimal be? Anyone? Yes. 0.08. And I'll use T for time. Now with this formula, T can be months, years, days. In this case, T is years because it was 8% per year. Any questions so far? So if we make a table like we did the last one, where we have years and the balance, again, we're starting with $1,000. And we'll go 4 years, just like we did the last one. Well, what it's doing is it's taking 8% of this, but you can use the formula to find the next one. Then it would be 1,000, 1 plus 0.08 to the first. Because it's the first year. And if you plug that into your calculator, you should get 1,080. If we want to find how much is in there in the second year, we take the 1,000, 1 plus 0.08 squared. And that will give us, rounding to the nearest penny, $1,166.44. Go ahead and find the next two. For the third year, you're getting $1,259.71. And then $13.60.49. Any questions on that? It's important to be able to, when given the equation, be able to find the relative change in the initial amount. And when you're giving the relative change, you give the percent. And if it's increasing or decreasing. So on the homework, make sure when you're asked for the relative change, you give whether it's increasing or decreasing and the percent. The book puts an X here for time. I don't always put that. I think sometimes it's confusing because then you don't know if it's a variable. But it just is times. Okay, I probably should do initial amount first. If we look at this equation and remember the formula, it's the initial amount and then 1 plus or 1 minus in the time. So the initial amount is always written in the front. So our initial amount would be 120. Now, to find the relative change, you could always subtract 1. Since it's positive, it's an increase. And then write this as a percent, 7%. So the relative change was an increase of 7%. And the starting amount, 120. We'll try another one. Any questions on that part? Okay, let's try. S equals 472 times 1.36 to the Q. So find the relative change in the initial amount. So is it an increase or a decrease? And by how much? Anyone? You just take the part with the exponent and subtract 1. Since it's positive, it's an increase. And then write the 36 as a percent. 0.36 would be 36%. So this would mean an increase of 36%. What's the initial amount? Anyone?
472.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, the amount at the beginning. Y equals 521 times 0.72 to the X. To find relative change, take the part that has the exponent on it and subtract 1. Notice you get a negative 0.28. Because it's negative, it's a decrease. And then write it as a percent, 28%. So it's a decrease of 28%. And the starting amount is the amount at the beginning, 521. We'll do one more, but any questions on that? Okay, so find the relative change in the initial amount. So is it an increase or a decrease?
Decrease.
And by how much?
60%.
Oops, I'm writing it the wrong way. Always subtract by 1 because then it gives you the positive or negative. The negative means it's a decrease, but you can always also tell if this is less than 1, it's a decrease. When it's greater than 1, it's an increase. And then 0.6 is 60%. Our initial amount, 1,000. Any questions on those? Do you need to see another one? Okay. So for Excel, we're going to do the 2 that we started with the account, the $1,000 where we added 100, and then the one with the 8%. I want to show you how to do it on Excel. So first thing, we're going to start with year. I'll put linear. Okay, so the 2 examples we did were linear, and we did $100 per year. And the other example we did was exponential, and it was 8% per year. And we start with $1,000. Oops, 1,000. Now, if we want to do it for 12 years, because in our example, we only did 4 years. We want to do it for 12, then this needs to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the way down to 12. But you can make formulas. So put the 1 in here. And then for the next one, I'm going to click on it. And then click up here, just like when we did formulas for other things that we were doing on Excel. Click here, put your equal sign. Now what we want to do is we want to take the one before and just keep adding 1 because we're adding 1 year each time. So to do that, you can click on A3. Notice it puts the 1 before up there. And then you just add 1. So I typed in my 1 and hit enter, went down to this one, and I put a formula. I put to use the 1 before and add 1. Any questions on that part? what you can do is drag your formula and it will keep changing it for each row. So if I click back on A, 4A and go to the corner and I go down to, let's see, probably have to go to 14. Yeah, that will get us 12 months. So this is each month. Years, sorry, we were in years. Any questions on that? Notice it kept changing the formula. It takes the one before and adds 1. If I go down to 7, it takes the one before, A8, and adds 1. Each time it's adding 1. Any questions on that? You want to be able to use the formula because if I tell you to go down to 48, you don't want to type it 48 times. Any questions? Okay. For this one, remember, so we have $1,000, we're adding $100 each year. So we could take the one before and add $100. Then you take that one and add $100. So we put our 1,000 in first and hit enter. Now this one we need to add 100. So we go up here, put your equal sign. Then we want to take the old balance. Notice it highlighted it and put the B2 up here. Then we're going to add 100. And hit enter. So I put the equal sign, I clicked on the one above, and then I added 100, and notice it added 100. If I go here and go down one, it adds another 100. We go down another one, it adds another 100. You have to make sure you use this little cross. Notice how there's different ones as I move. You want to make sure it's this one in the corner. You can bring it all the way down. And each time it adds $100. So after 12 years, this account will have $2,200 in it. Any questions on that? Okay. This one's 1,000. Each time we're adding 8%. Since it's an increase of 8%, we'll use, well, there's a couple ways you can do it, but I like to just use the 1+ trick. So if I go to the next one, I go up here and I put my equal sign. Then I'm going to use the one before, and I want 8% of that. Now you have to be careful. In order to use multiplication, it's an asterisk. You can't just put a parenthesis on Excel. You have to put the asterisk for multiplication. And then you can put 1 plus 0.08. And that will take 8% of the one before. And that's what we had gotten, 1080. So I put equal to, I took the one above, the 1,000, and then 1 plus 0.08 because I'm increasing by 8%. Notice if I go one more. This must be set to 2 decimal places. We'll fix that in a second. We can go all the way down. Nope, I don't know what it said. No, any questions on that part? And then I'll show you how to make it round properly. Any questions? To get it to round, you highlight your data and then go to File. Nope, sorry, not that one. Usually it just pops up. Okay. So what you do is highlight it, and I didn't include the words because I don't want that to change, only the numbers. And then right click, and it says Format Cells right here. So I highlight it, I right click, and go down to Format Cells. And then you could put currency in 2 decimal places, or you could put number in 2 decimal places. That way then you have your 2 decimal places. Any questions on that?
I can't get it to the fill formatting cells. And I right clicked and everything.
And you highlight it,
Yes.
and then you hit your right click, and this didn't come up.
It did not, no. It was a shorter version of that, like a shorter list.
Hmm. And it won't let you click like more or anything?
No.
That's weird. Hmm. I'll have to see why it's not doing that. I'm not sure why.
I have a Mac, so I can't necessarily right click. I don't know if that's
Oh, maybe
why.
that's why. Maybe, let me see something.
There's like a box that says cells at the top where your home says. That might, like, you might be able to do that.
Yeah.
There's like a plus arrow beside mine, and it says copy cells, fill formatting only, fill without format, and flash fill.
Okay, that's probably then you want to use that. It's format. You want formatting, and then, oh, here, this might do it too. No, that's not.
It just erased what I had.
You could hit this to undo and it'll bring it back.
What about where it says insert delete in format at home? Right next to styles.
It doesn't, oh, yeah. Okay, so right here, do you have this insert delete format? They have format cells on there also.
Yeah, I have that.
Then that'll do it. Now the Mac's set up a little bit different, so then you have to find ways around certain things. So you want to use this one here. It's under Home and Format. Go down to Format Cells, and then you can do it there. I just use number Because if I do different things, sometimes I don't want the dollar sign on it. And then 2 decimal places because it's money.
I think if you're on Mac, you need to click with both fingers to like right click. That's how mine is at least.
Okay. I've never used a Mac. The little girl I tutor across the street has one, but I haven't. She always does everything, so. So if you do have a Mac, you could try clicking with both fingers and see if that works. But you can also find it here, which is good. But any questions on that? Now, there'll be times where I'll ask you for a formula. For instance, click on B8. So it might say, click on B8. What formula do you have there? So then you'll have 8 and B, which would be this one. You would click on it, and then you'll tell me your formula, and your formula would be equals B7 plus 100. That way, then I know that you used the right formula. There's a couple ways you can do these formulas, but I'll still know that you used the formula. Click C10 and tell me what the formula is. So C10 would be the $1,850.93. And when you click on it, you should have equals C9 times 1 plus 0.08. Are there any questions on that? So I will ask that in questions. Like I'll have you set up the whole thing and then I'll ask you what those are so I know you did them right. Any questions on that? How many, looking at the first one, the adding $100, how many years did it take to double the money? And we started with 1,000. So to double would be 2,000. So it took 10 years to double. So linearly, it took 10 years to double your money. Any questions on that? Exponentially, it was about 9 years. Leave this one. Now, when you have a percent, there's a rule you can use. There's actually 2 rules, but your book only used rule of 70. And what the rule of 70 is, to double your money, you take 70 and divide by the percent. When increasing by a percent, there's what's called a rule of 70. It tells you how many years it will take to double your money. So you take 70 and you divide by the percent. The whole percent, not the decimal. And our percent was 8. So if you take 70 and divide by 8, it will take approximately 9 years. Any questions on that? Any questions on the Excel? Okay, try one more. What if we keep the 8% increase plus add $100? We're still going to start with the 1,000. So each year it'll be an 8% increase plus $100. So go ahead and write a formula. Put your 1,000 first. And then not only the 8%, but we're also going to add the $100. And then once you get that, drag it all the way down, and we'll see what the total is. Notice the exponential one starts off a little low, but then it did catch up right here at the 7th year. It passed it. So if I ask you what year the second option passed up the first, it would be right here, because the 1713, and this is only 1700. So if we take put the equal sign, we want to take the one before. Remember, multiplication is an asterisk, and we're going to increase by 8% and add 100. Notice it's $100 more than this one. So I took the one above it, D2, I multiplied by my 8% increase, and then I added $100. You can go in the corner, drag it down, make this a percent, or 2 decimal places, because it's money. Any questions? Okay. If you do not have any questions, then I will see you on Wednesday. Try the homework, and we will go over it though on Wednesday. And I think that's it. There are parts they expect you to know, and I put them in the homework so that I knew you'd practice it. But it's using a calculator.